Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Creamsicle Chronicle podcast. My name is JT Olson. With me, my co host, the man of the people, Garrett Ballard. Garrett, how are we doing today?
Doing great. This is the second week in a row that we are talking about a win. And this one, I think better than the last.
Can we call two in a row a winning streak? Are we comfortable with that? Because
Nah,
I'm
give
ready
me
for it.
three. Give me three.
I don't know if I can give you three, but we can go with three.
Yeah. I think three is a streak. I think that's where you can really call it.
But we can say that the Bucks are red hot, two in a row winners.
They
And
are.
this one, like you said, this one felt a lot better than last week. Where last week we felt like we stole a win versus the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like the Bucks controlled this one beginning to end.
I definitely agree. Um, I think there are going to be, I still have some notes that I want to touch on that are still kind of nitpicky, but what would a podcast be without the negatives? Especially about a football team that's been struggling recently. Off the bat, I want to just start out with the positives. Devin White, heck of a game, one, and such a terrible thing to hear about his father. Saw that he heard that his father passed away, like as they were getting on the plane, or something like very very close to departure. Um, and he still went to Germany and played a tremendous game. I mean, we've been all critical of Devin White over the past couple weeks, and he shut everyone up on Sunday against the Seahawks and really played a great game. So there's that. Two, a Chris Godwin touchdown. A Chris Godwin touchdown. Was
10
that one of
weeks
your
in the
bold
making.
predictions?
No, last week. I think it was last week or the week before. We've been waiting for that for a long
Did
time.
we hit one? I want to make sure we hit a bold prediction.
I didn't, but I think you predicted Rashad White taking over the starting.
Oh, I
reps.
did. I did. And yeah, that did happen. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about. He looked awesome. I mean, I think we were talking about how the Bucks, how we think they're really gonna dominate the line of scrimmage battle, and they did. I mean, they were handling that Seattle defensive line, and it was evident based on their rushing attack in the past, pretty much the entire season, with the exception of Week 1 and this game against the Seahawks. The Bucks' rushing attack has been non-existent. They're the worst in the league at it, have been for the entire season. And the one matchup where the Buccaneers' offensive line won in the run game was this game, and they were dominating. And I think a large part of the successful rushing attack was also Rashad White. But I want to just start to focus, like, real quick on that offensive line and how you think they did.
I thought they played really well. I thought they consistently won the battle up front.
Definitely.
Granted, the Seattle front might be the worst in the league.
It might be. It's bad.
Yeah, there's not one player who really jumps out as good. Shelby Harris, but that's their highlight.
Right. But it's at least reassuring that we dominated that level of competition, right?
Right. Because I mean, this Bucks offensive line, you can't expect them to dominate anyone. I mean, Robert Hainsey has been bad this year. Nick Leverett in his third career start. You don't expect that to be a dominant line, but that's what they were. They dominated. And there were reps that they lost. I know Hainsey stood out to me a couple negative plays, but
yeah,
consistently, and not just the line, the tight ends are doing their part too. Just
they are
winning up front, and there were so many good things to like about this rushing attack. The line dominating, White finding the space because that's what he does. He finds the hole. He's got great vision. And the thing that really stood out to me in that, the Bucks ran it differently this week. How many weeks have we been calling for them to run more out of the shotgun? All
year.
of the weeks. And they did. They kind of played into their strength for the first time all year. They ran out of the shotgun. I think I want to give credit. I think it was Paul Atwell over at Peter Report. I think he tallied them running out of the shotgun 16 times. That might be more than they've run out of the shotgun the rest of the year combined.
I mean, it was not a lot, and they were definitely doing it more. And um, I think the reason because of that is if you're rushing it out of the shotgun, odds like a lot of the time the running back's going to be attached to the hip, like he's not going to be further behind the quarterback typically. Um, Getting the ball to the running back quickly and letting him kind of wait and see what develops in front of him is huge. I mean, and we've seen that Rashad White's patience is tremendous. So giving him that like extended period of time to kind of analyze what's going on in front of him and then hit the hole hard that he needs to go through um, benefited. And I mean, you could tell like he was really running well. I mean, he was decisive, he was quick, he was powerful. Like this, that stiff arm was disgusting. I mean, if anyone needed any more evidence to show that Rashad White should be getting the starting job at running back, that's the game to look at. I mean, we've been thinking it for the past couple weeks anyway, mainly because I think everyone's kind of like Leonard Fournette isn't doing what he did last year. But now you can say Leonard's not doing what he did last year, and Rashad White looks better, like hands down.
Yeah, and we've talked about it for so long. Rashad White fits this offense better right now
Mm.
because, and I'm going to say this, and some people might take it as a negative thing, but it's not. The Buccaneers are a finesse offense. They are a get in space kind of rushing attack. They are not Ali Marpet, push you back 3 yards, win the line of scrimmage with power. Leonard Fournette would be good at that. He is built for power. That's not what the Bucs are. That's not what Hainsey is. That's not what Jack Mason is. That's not what Nick Leverett is. Those are guys who want to work in space. Running out of the shotgun, letting your quicker, better vision running back, who is also a pass catching threat, another advantage of running out of the shotgun, as opposed to try and power it home with 3 tight ends. This all works together really, really well. They go hand in hand in hand, and it feels like the Bucs finally started tapping into that for the first time this year.
Yeah. Uh, One thing I do want to kind of say is um, the running game looked different and it looked good. Uh, I do want to see how that looks against a stronger front because um, I don't really know. I mean, the Browns, who we have up, we're not going to talk about this game much today, but the Browns coming up in 2 weeks, their run defense, I don't think is the great. Like they're getting their defensive line looks so good statistically because of Myles Garrett. Really, like if I'm being complete, it's just him. Um, you can go shout out Corey Kinnan at real Corey Kinnan on Twitter, who covers the Browns, does some amazing work, and has really been focusing on their D line a lot this season. And Perrion Winfrey, who we talked about a lot in March, April, is not looking great. They got I can't even remember who else they have, but their run defense hasn't been great. So I think we could see another big game on the ground in 2 weeks, but um, I want to see them up against a competent run defending team with this newfound running scheme because I'm intrigued because I love what I saw and I want to see more of it. I just don't know if I can trust what I saw yet.
Right. This offense has not earned trust this year. And just because they started to break the mold, make some common sense decisions, play into their own strengths a little bit, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've seen them get in their own way time and time again this year, specifically Byron Leftwich. So until he shows that he's going to make it a regular thing, doing smart decisions, there's no reason to trust it. But we can sit here and say this is a good start. This was a positive performance, not just by the players, but by the coaching staff. I'd like to see more of it. We should see more of it. Will we see more of it? To be determined.
I I think Byron definitely called his best game of the season. Aside from one boneheaded moment, letting Leonard Fournette throw the ball to Tom Brady on a drive that we were cooking. We were moving. And he's like, yeah, trick play. What? What? Are you kidding me? I saw that and I was like, what are we doing, man? I was like, Byron, people are telling you to be unpredictable. Not like that, man. What are we doing? It was crazy.
All I could think about in that moment, you know, the meme where it's like the superhero and he's picking between the two red buttons.
Yes.
It's like predictable play calling versus throwing a passes to your 45-year-old quarterback. Which do you choose?
Aside from that, first of all, we have seen Tom Brady go out for passes when he was with the Patriots. He dropped it in a Super Bowl. He was wide open, hit him in the breadbasket. 2, he was covered by Tariq Woolen, the Seahawks' best defensive player and one of the freakiest athletes at last year's combine. What? And I know Tom was like, I tried to turn around and tell Lenny no, but what? Is Leonard Fournette going to be like, nah, I'm going to throw it. I'm not going to throw it. He's going to be like, yeah, let me chuck this thing. I'm going to try and get a touchdown. And they saw it because they ran the exact same play not long before, and Tom Brady was wide open. And then Byron's like, they're going to do the same thing. Watch. And then they called his bluff and got a pick. But
that is so Byron Leftwich, though. He's the king of overcorrection.
It is. Oh, my goodness. Like I said, I think he called his best game of the season. I think by no means, I don't think that this by any means, for like, what's the word I'm looking for? Absolves him of what's happened this season. Because like I said, I don't know if I can trust this level of play, this specifically from the running game for the rest of the year. I don't know if this type of running scheme is even going to stick around till the next game. Moving forward, I'd love to see more, but I really just don't know. But it was tremendous for the time being.
Can I just have a small celebration for Byron even dialing up the Wildcat?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like, innovation beyond anything I could have expected.
I've said it before. I don't really give credit to the Wildcat as innovation because it peaked in like 2008. But I mean, like it is
Byron.
It's something different. I can't be too nitpicky because it worked.
Worked
they
the
got
first
Mike
time.
Yeah, they got Mike Evans involved, which is always a recipe for success. I did dislike the decrease in KDOT and usage. I know that he still had the most snaps of any tight end, but even then, I think he needs to be on the field for like 80% of the tight end snaps. All respect to Cameron Brate, there's really no reason to play Cameron Brate over Cade Otton in any situation at this point. Otton is a better receiver and a better blocker.
Yeah, he's definitely more athletic. I mean, as much as I love Cam Brate, great hands, he's a good red zone target. I think he might be top 5 in receiving touchdowns all time for the Bucs.
He might be.
He's not agile.
And he's not like he really never was, and now it's even worse.
Right, as he gets into his 30s, which, believe you me, it's not great. Things become a little more difficult, and it's confusing as to why, but that's the reality. But I think even with the decrease of snaps, which was expected with Brate coming back healthy, he looked better. And I think he got more targets, more receiving yards. I think he's earned Brady's trust. And I think now, even with Brate back in the mix, you're going to see more and more Cade Otton. Yeah, okay, sorry about that.
He's watching the CMU game, folks.
Yes, we are now first and goal in the battle for the victory cannon.
There we go. How's my guy Thomas Nkoum playing?
I know he has 1 sack.
Hey, there we go.
But back to Bucs football.
Yeah.
It was a really good offensive performance.
It was.
Despite 21 points, there were 2 turnovers, which obviously derailed a couple of drives. the Fournette interception, Bucks were marching down the field. That was going to be, in all likelihood, going to be a touchdown, if not a field goal. And then Brady with an uncharacteristic interception. He threw it right to the Seahawks linebacker.
Yeah.
Other than that, Bucks kind of marched up and down the field most of the game.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I mean, I really don't have any complaints. My only kind of like thing to point out is just consistency. I want to see it into other games. That's really it.
Yep. And it's the Bucks being their own worst enemy this year. This week they weren't.
Oh,
and it's a nice change.
We know this. Everyone knows this. Tristan Wirfs is a monster. That guy, I mean, it's if they ever let that man leave Tampa Bay, it is a travesty. It is a malpractice, like truly. That best right tackle in the league, maybe the best tackle in the league. I mean, Andrew Thomas is putting up insane numbers also in New York, but it's a blessing to have that guy as your right tackle. And I know people are gonna say, "Oh, he's right tackle." It doesn't really matter in today's NFL. Good rushers are on both sides of the line, and there's not really that. What's the word? That I don't know. Just the best rusher rushes from the left side because it's kind of false. I mean, if you look at it, they switch sides. They line up on the right side. They line up on the left. It doesn't matter. Like you need good tackles on both sides, and we have an elite one on the right side. That guy's just a treat to watch. So.
Yes,
just wanted to say that. Everyone knows, but
this is our Walter Jones. This is our Orlando Brown. This is our Orlando Pace.
Yeah, Orlando Pace. I was like Orlando Brown.
Hey, he was a beast in his time.
Yeah, Orlando Pace, absolutely. I was like Orlando Brown was. I thought you were going to say Pace, and then I heard Brown. I was like, whoa, the Kansas City Chiefs player.
Well, his dad was a good tackle too. He was no Orlando Pace, but
no, not many people are. But
Tristan Wirfs is.
Tristan Wirfs is that guy.
He's that dude.
Okay, I want to shift to defense. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka played a heck of a game. That guy, he's this close, man, to breaking out. I mean, he on it from the jump. They were putting him all over the field, dropping him in coverage, using him as a friggin' cornerback.
That rep on that tight end down the sideline, that was nice.
That guy's sick. And I know people are like, he's not getting sacks. Man, if you just watch the games, he is that close, like 4 times a game. He's getting pressures like, oh my, so much. And I know people are like, oh, it's Shaq Barrett only getting pressures. Pressures are crucial. Like pressures turn into sacks frequently. You need pressures to keep the quarterback uncomfortable. There's a lot that pressures do for defense, and JTS is so close to getting home.
Yeah, and it feels like he's getting better and better. I mean, he's always close, but he's had sacks in 2 of the last 3 games. Like you said, he's always, just getting hands on quarterbacks, getting them off their spot, making them uncomfortable. And we mentioned it, I think, last week. Joe Tryon is an excellent athlete, just fantastic. But he was a little raw coming out of college, having missed his senior year, opting out with the COVID season.
Right.
So he's still learning some of the finer points of the game.
Yep.
And the sack he had in this game, he just bull rushed the tackle right into Geno. And I don't know if I've seen that very often from him, using power, because he's so fast and so flexible. To run over a guy, that's another trick in his bag, which was really nice to see.
And it profiles that it worked well. Just looking at his size, his arms are just vines. Like the guy is vine. He's fast. Speed to power should be like his go-to move, truthfully. But to see it in action, truly exciting, and I love it. Another thing, I think this game proved for the defense how crucial it is to not only have Antoine Winfield back, but to have Akeem Hicks. Like a consistent. That guy is a force. I mean, you could just tell the defensive line was just so much more coherent, so much more like as cohesive as a unit. They were getting things done. Like they were really just We talked about Kenneth Walker being a threat. They shut him down like completely. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, what did he have? Under 40 rushing
He had
yards?
nothing. Like, I think Logan Hall is going to be a good uh, defensive tackle for us, but we need some. He's not going to fill that role. That he's going to fill the Will Golston role, that primary pass rush. We need someone like Akeem Hicks, a big-bodied kind of just space eater, to get next to Vita Vea and just wreak havoc on the middle of the offensive line, because we've seen it with the Ndamukong Suh, we've seen it with now Akeem Hicks. It is so important to how this defense and specifically the defensive line operates.
It feels like a whole new defensive line since he's come back.
It does.
Because the Rams did very little rushing the ball. Now the Seahawks, who are a much better rushing attack, did very little rushing the ball.
Mm.
And so much of that is the big boys up front. But we talked about it last week. Part of that goes to the linebackers too, because Kenneth Walker is the master of the cutback. And we talked about the importance of discipline for those linebackers. And they were great. They were assignment sound. They were consistently in the right position, which we were concerned about, specifically with Devin White. But that goes back to where you opened. This was the best game of the year for Devin White.
Oh, absolutely. Like, he totally deserves that NFC Defensive Player of the Week he got. Like, no doubt about it.
If he can be this guy every week, that's the guy you pay.
Right.
But that's the thing we've always said about Devin White. You always see the flashes. He's got those highs. He's just got to consistently sustain them.
Yeah, and again, I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. It's just the consistency thing, kind of like the play calling. When it happens, I'll be there and be like, heck yeah, this is great. When it doesn't, I will criticize it. I mean, I've seen there's been a lot of discourse on Buccaneers Twitter the last couple days because of how Devin White played, and a lot of people are just saying that because of this, he's always been great. But that's not. I mean, that's very rarely the case for any player in the National Football League. There are those consistently great players like we're talking about at that linebacker. Who even Micah Parsons, Levante David, Devondre Campbell,
Fred Warner.
Fred Warner. Who's the guy in Demario Davis is a stud.
Shaq Leonard in Indy.
Shaq Leonard. Like, there are, how many names is that? 5, 6?
Yeah, it's a handful.
It's a handful of names that are consistently playing at a high level. It's not an easy thing to do. There's probably a handful of names at each position that's doing that. So while it's great to have these games, we need to see it more. And I mean, I will pound the table and say, if there's a player that I think can do it, it's Devin White, because we've seen it a lot. It just is in spurts. It's in 2-game spurts, and then it's gone. It's in 2-game spurts, and then it's gone. I've talked about how I think his upside is kind of diminished now because he's 4 years. By the end of this year, it'll be 4, right?
Yeah.
4 years into his career. And I still believe this. I think there's in terms of growth, he's probably near top of his arc. It's just if he can, if the consistency's there, he's the best in the league. Truthfully, he is, but it's just not there. So,
and it's obviously not a talent issue.
No,
and for me, it's always been, even back to when he's been drafted, it's a little bit of a maturity issue.
Mm.
And we all love the rah-rah stuff, the get live 45, the riding down the road on his horse, and it's fun, it's exciting, but that's all sizzle. You have to be able to have that self-awareness to check yourself, put in the time, put in the grind, get your hands dirty. And sometimes it's been a little too silly, a little too fun, and not enough of that nose to the grind kind of attitude from Devin White. And I wonder how much that came to a boil these past couple of weeks when he was getting called out consistently. I mean, he's always been a superstar in college, his first couple of years, winning the Super Bowl. He hasn't really faced that kind of adversity, that reality check, how things can turn on you like that. This was really a test of his maturity and his, who he is as a man, who he is as a leader. And so far, he's passed with flying colors.
Yeah, I agree. Another thing I want to point out is as we're talking about kind of leadership and knowing when to have fun and knowing when to get your hands dirty. Antoine Winfield, I think like third year, this guy is one of the best safeties in football. I mean, he just the same thing with the defensive line I was saying with Akeem Hicks. You can tell that the defensive backfield is just so comfortable with him there. I mean, you can play him anywhere. You can play him at the boundary and he'd be fine. They don't do that, but I would assume he'd be fine. You can play him deep. He'll ball hawk. You can play him up at the line of scrimmage. You can play him in the nickel where they do. The guy just does it all. He opens up so many avenues for this defensive backfield to operate. Jamel Dean beat his old demons in DK Metcalf, shut him down. Carlton Davis did his thing. I mean, the defensive backfield is one of the best units that the Bucs have right now, and it has been for the entire season. And a big part of that is Antoine Winfield, and you could see that when he was hurt, his absence was felt and seen a lot. So,
yeah, and Winfield is Mr. Consistent. It feels like he's always right where he's supposed to be.
Oh yeah,
and you kind of expected that from him, with who his dad is and. The long NFL career, he's seen it firsthand, what it takes to be a star in this league. And he just hit the ground with that attitude, that mentality. And every week he's just right where he's supposed to be. He's do it all. He's the prototype. He's what you want from a safety.
For sure. I couldn't say it like any better. Like he's what you want from a safety. I'm trying to think. Is there anything I'm missing? Anything you want to talk about?
I want to give a little bit of a shout out to a guy who I thought got a lot of unnecessary heat over the weekend.
Yeah.
Sean Murphy-Bunting. He's kind of come back a little bit. I saw a lot of people, he got burned for the Seahawks touchdown. A lot of people cut Sean Murphy-Bunting, get him off the team.
Oh,
he was right there in possession.
That throw was perfect.
Yeah, if his arm was like 3 inches lower, I mean, that's an easy swat. It's just tight window. He was right on him. Great coverage. Just better throw.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't beat. Like he wasn't beat by the receiver. He was beat by the throw. Like if you want your quarterback to beat that coverage, you need to have that throw. And I mean, Geno Smith did. We've talked about Geno Smith. Like he's having a great season. There should be no reason that people are trashing on Murphy-Bunting for that. Like that's a tremendous throw. That beats like any corners are going to be in that position 9 out of 10 times. It'll beat them then. So,
yeah. And there was a throw earlier in the game where he did get beat. He was a little slow, kind of getting to his spot, breaking out a little bit, but he was right there on that touchdown throw. So felt he got a little bit of unnecessary heat. People kind of make their opinions on a guy, and then it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I thought he played well, playing a lot of nickel, because when you're going against DK Metcalf, who's such a great deep threat, Tyler Lockett, who's such a really quality receiver, you got to play a lot of too high safety. You just got to take those deep shots away. So that moved Winfield a little bit more from the nickel, and that had Murphy-Bunting going back to that nickel role.
I will say the second Seahawks touchdown, that was definitely on him. I think.
What was the second one?
No,
I thought that was Carlton Davis got beat by Lockett.
I think it was Murphy-Bunting.
I would have to go back and check.
I think it was.
It was Lockett though, wasn't it?
I think so, and I'm pretty sure that it was Murphy-Bunting, and it was not great. He did get beat,
but you know what?
He's not a starting corner.
Nope. He's your backup nickel.
That's
and
fine.
I felt like nickel was outside what his skill set is. So I thought it was a solid showing from him. Kind of stepped up, because that's going to be Logan Ryan's spot when he comes back.
Right.
Sean Murphy-Bunting will be that third nickel option behind Winfield and Ryan, because Todd Bowles loves his safeties, and he just maximizes what they do.
And for the most part, they are great at what they do in his defenses. So, but Murphy-Bunting, I think, is more likely than not on his way out of this defense in the next probably year or two. So,
Yeah, I think this is his last year because he doesn't have the 5th-year option, and he came in that same class as
That's
Devin
right.
White.
That's right.
So, if there was any debate going into the year, if it was going to be Murphy Bunting or Dean, Dean's getting that extension. Murphy
Oh my
Bunting,
God, Dean is disgusting.
yeah,
it's
he had a
gonna
great game.
it's gonna be tough because we have no money.
Yeah,
But
but you know
he's gonna be
what?
so good.
When you pay a rookie quarterback, you can afford to have no money. And
That's
I don't
fair.
think Tom Brady will be back next year. And I don't know if it's going to be Kyle Trask or Blaine Gabbert or insert preferred draft option.
True.
But I think the Bucks are going to have to go cheap at quarterback, and
They
they'll
have to.
give them the flexibility to pay other guys like Jamel Dean.
Preferably, I mean, we'll talk about we can't talk about free agency yet. Definitely not. But
Nope, we are this year focused. Whatever
yes,
happens to with us next year, that's next year's problem.
that's right. Um, I think that's kind of it. I don't have anything else. Do you?
I feel. Let me get your overall feelings on the Bucks right now,
Okay.
because 2 weeks ago, season spiraling, we were starting to flirt with the idea of talking about quarterbacks and draft and that kind of thing. We were playing the Rams. We're 4-5 at the time. We were 3-5, and then all of a sudden, we're back to 500. And I was thinking this earlier today. Since that time, the Rams have fallen to 3-6. Bucks have gone to 5-5. The fact that the Bucks have been able to turn it around and not be the Rams who have kind of spiraled,
Hmm.
I think that's such a testament to the mental toughness of this team and the professionalism and the leadership of all the players and this coaching staff. I want to give a shout out to Todd Bowles. He's been nothing but professional. He's been a consistent message. We haven't always agreed with the message, like, oh, we want to run the ball more, but he's been transparent. He's been professional. He's been a calming presence in a really rocky season. And I think that's a big part of how the Bucks have turned it around. And they've really gotten this thing back on track to a degree.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said earlier, I just want to see it again. I want to see it again and again and again and again because I mean, the Rams game was ugly. It was an ugly win, but it was a win. The Seahawks game was not ugly, aside from a couple moments.
No, they really kind of dominated it, most of
They
it.
did. They absolutely did. But again, I would like to see this up against a competent defense. Like, let me look at the schedule real quick. Who do we have left? I know we have the Browns.
Got the Browns, we got the Panthers again, the Falcons again, the Saints again. So that's 4.
Okay, we have the 49ers.
49ers. I think we have the Cardinals.
We have the Cardinals and the Bengals. Okay. I'm looking at that 49ers game on December 11th. They're a good defense. Because I feel like the Browns, we go Browns, Saints, 49ers. Browns and Saints, I'm not too worried about. So if we do bad against them, I'm like, okay, well, this is still bad. But if we're looking good, I'm circling that 49ers game as a measuring stick of where this team is, specifically offensively, because we've seen the defense play well pretty consistently throughout the year, aside from a couple times. And now they're almost completely healthy. The offense is as healthy as they can be right now, given without long-term injuries. By the way, I think if we get Ryan Jensen back, that changes this entire conversation. But I think that 49ers game is going to be one that I'm watching very closely to see kind of where this offense stands.
Yeah, it's kind of a soft schedule on the back end.
It is.
And really, it was kind of a soft schedule on the front end, too. I mean, dropping games to the Steelers and the Panthers, those are 2 bad teams.
Very bad losses, yeah.
So getting a chance to go against the Niners and even the Bengals, who DJ Reader's a really good nose tackle, who I think was hurt early in the year. I'm not sure what his status is, but if he's playing, that'll be a great measuring stick for this Bucks offense.
Yeah, those are back-to-back games also. So, but again, if we struggle against the Browns and then the Saints, I'm not super confident. But right now, I think this is a team that still makes the playoffs because they're going to win the NFC South. Um, and then I will say that it's not looking good in terms of making a run because I'm still not sold. That was a great win against Seattle, um, but their roster's not the greatest. I mean, they're having a bit of a fluky season. I feel like, no offense to Seattle, but I still think those losses, specifically like that stretch of losses, holds a bit more weight for me right now. Maybe I'm a bit of a pessimist, but um, that's kind of where I stand. I'd like to just give it to me more than one game because it seems to come in one game spurts. So
Yep. And they've got 7 games to kind of win that trust back and kind of
yeah,
right the ship because they've got it turned around. They're not spiraling out of control anymore.
that's right. That's right.
But they're not
We're kind of like at a
building
plateau.
momentum.
We were like this, and now we're kind of like that. I think
Yep.
maybe like on the little upturn. I would like to see that like steep climb again because I mean we know we can, um, and I mean we just need to see it consistently.
And
So
this is the time to do it. Going into the
absolutely,
bye week, you do the self scouting, you get healthy, you get rested. This is the time where you really put together that stretch run.
yep.
And you mentioned the Browns, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Bengals. This is a time where they can really gain momentum.
Hmm.
The only thing that's going to stand in their way is themselves.
Yep.
This has been the case all year. Bucks have one of the most talented rosters in the NFL, even with Ryan Jensen and Shaq Barrett on the shelf.
Yep.
This is still one of the best rosters in the NFL. Definitely the NFC, which is just it's still wide open.
It's so bad.
Even with the Eagles and Vikings at what are they 8-1? I'm not sure either of those teams is really good.
Yeah.
So if
I
they
think
can get this turned around, it's there.
Hmm.
It's there for the taking if they can put it together.
I mean, if the Bucks are playing at their peak, they can beat anyone in the NFL. We've seen it. I mean, we've seen it pretty much the last 2 years in different sections. But I need to see it now because living in the past isn't going to get us anywhere in the future. So,
Yep, and we'll dive more in depth in this next week. We'll do a little bit state of the Bucks, kind of where you're at with this team. Can do mid-season awards,
yeah,
and really kind of map out the path to getting to where they want to be.
that's including a preview of the Browns game, by the way. That's not happening this episode because we are going into a bye week. If no one caught on to that,
yes, you get a nice little break. Get to just enjoy the week off, and I have to stress about this frickin' team.
I know. Have a good Thanksgiving break. Little bit of one here. I'll know I'll enjoy it. I hope JT, I hope you enjoy it as well, and I hope all the listeners enjoy theirs because no Bucks football, good food, just relax.
We can all watch the Lions lose, a Thanksgiving tradition.
Hey, it is crazy. They're always on Thanksgiving, and they always do lose.
Hey, that's their game. Them and the Cowboys.
I know it is their game. You're right.
And honestly, no one wants to watch the Cowboys either, so might as well enjoy the lovable losers that are the Lions.
I'm tired of watching the Cowboys, man. I'm tired of it. They always get the prime time. They always get America's Game of the Week on Sundays. Give me the Lions. I'd rather watch Dan Campbell. Give me Dan Campbell. Who else do we got? Give me Justin Herbert. Give me Josh Allen. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Dak Prescott. I don't want to see Ezekiel Elliott. I'm tired of looking at him, man. I would like to see Malik Davis, though. Yeah. He's their third string running back, a UDFA. Went to Florida, went to my high school.
Okay.
Stud. Absolute stud.
As long as I can watch Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is my guy.
Oh, that guy's he's also sick.
You know what? Bucks could have drafted him.
Bucks, don't remind me.
Kyle Trask.
Who we drafted instead? Yeah.
Kyle Trask and Robert Hainsey.
Sickening.
Two duds. And Amon-Ra Brown is like Chris Godwin 2.0. He's just an absolute stud.
God, it sucks.
There are no luxury draft picks. Always capitalize on draft picks.
I was sitting in my living room, looking at my TV, just saying, not Kyle Trask. My friends, they're ahead of me. I guess I was on a delay. They FaceTime me. They're all like, They're laughing. They're like, look at it. They're all so pumped because they're like, he almost won the Heisman. And I'm like, you don't understand.
It's the worst.
Get it.
But you know what? He is a great clipboard holder on a championship team.
That's right.
That is that. This year, he will help carry off players in the Super Bowl parade. It's going to be great. Kyle Trask's season is now as the backup to the backup.
They draft the next Ryan Griffin in the second round. Oh.
If he's ever Ryan Griffin, I think that'd be a win.
He could be Ryan. He's not that bad. He can be Ryan Griffin.
I think his ceiling is Cooper Rush. I think that's his absolute peak.
I would agree. That's a fine absolute peak. I think easily he could be a Ryan Griffin, though. So, but okay, that's neither here nor there. We appreciate you all listening to another episode of the Creamsicle Chronicles podcast. As always, we love doing this. And as always, go Bucks. We'll see you in the next one.
Go Bucks and fire up chips. Love the action.
Wednesday night back.